Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, teman-teman. Jumpa lagi dengan gue Surya Farizal, Ginting, dan TimTeng Podcast. Kali ini kita ada tamu istimewa, seorang teman gue juga sama-sama dari kantor berita Turki, Anadolu Agency, dan beliau bersama kita Ekrem Biceroglu dari Timur Tengah di kantor berita Turki yang akan menjawab beberapa pertanyaan atau diskusi bersama kita tentang BOP dan ISF yang masih hangat pembicaraannya saat ini tentang keberlangsungan perkembangan perdamaian di Gaza dan rekonstruksi di Gaza. Thank you for giving your time with us, brother Ekrem.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me in your YouTube channel. And I'm greeting the all
Indonesian
people and especially your followers. I say hi to them.
Ramazan Mubarak also for you.
Ramazan Mubarak also.
Okay.
Inshallah.
Okay, brother, let's start our discussion. Is about the international stabilization forces, and the issue of the Board of Peace is still continuing in Indonesia, especially after the first meeting of the summit of the BOP. I believe it was last week, yeah, and on 19th of the February, and then one of the result is the formation of the International Stabilization Force that excluded Turkey from it. They announced the membership is the Indonesia with 4 other countries like Morocco, Kosovo, and Kazakhstan, I believe, and Albania. But we know that especially after the Gaza ceasefire on the October, Turkey is kind of pushing to join the ISF stabilization force in Gaza. How do you see why this is happening? Why there is no Turkish involvement in this stabilization force?
Yeah, thank you first of all for this beautiful question, brother Surya. If you look at the broader picture, and Turkey's priority from the beginning was to prevent the conflict and stop Israel's attacks to Gaza. That was the core of its foreign policy approach to the issue. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan did not rely solely on harsh rhetoric. Instead, he conducted active shuttle diplomacy, keeping channels open with multiple actors. His close relationship actually with President Donald Trump also played a role in efforts to reduce and eventually stop attacks seemingly right now. At the same time, Turkey is both politically and militarily a strong country, as you see right now in the region. It has operational capacity. Country proved that in Syria, in Armenia, in Ukraine, in Libya, partly. It has operational capacity and regional influence, the ability to project power if necessary, as it did in the past. Mm-hmm. And many times in the North Syria, we will come that later. This is an undeniable fact right now in the region. Turkey's aim was to bring regional countries together. Turkey did want this to strengthen a collective axis and create coordinated pressure just to limit Israeli actions to Palestinians. Ankara also not only from region, but also sought to include countries such as Pakistan, Malaysia, and Indonesia in this broader framework. However, level of regional pressure Turkey wanted was not fully achieved, unfortunately. In many cases, President Erdogan found himself alone, relatively alone, in trying to exert stronger pressure on Israel. Some regional countries lacked either the political will or the strategic capacity to go further. When we come to the issue of exclusion from
the ISF,
international stable forces, we should be frank. First of all, let's be honest. Israel does not want a militarily capable country like Turkey inside such a mechanism.
Is it because Turkey is the second largest or the second strongest military in NATO? Do you think that's one of the
Yeah,
consideration?
yeah, maybe we can say this. We can say this, but if we look at the situation from perspective of being member of NATO, and we should say here at all does not have any action against Israel, because the seemingly leader of NATO is USA, and USA is the closest country to Israel. Actually, Israel does not want these forces in Gaza, presence Turkish forces in Gaza, even under international mandate. You're talking about like a NATO, even under an international mandate, this such a mechanism, and these forces in Gaza would significantly change the balance, on the ground. It would limit Israeli operational freedom. Israel cannot be free if Turkey's soldiers would go there.
Okay.
So this is a major concern for Israel. There are strong indications that during Netanyahu's repeated visits to Washington, preventing a Turkish military role in Gaza was one of the issues, actually, as we know, like discussed with Israeli Trump. I comment these visits, like very repeated visits like that. At least for now, it seems Israel has unfortunately succeeded in keeping Turkey out of any direct military presence. But I should add this to my speech. It's also important to underline Turkey did not insist. It's so important.
Did not insist to be joining the forces.
Yeah. Yeah, did not insist on deploying troops at any cost. And Ankara showed that it was ready to contribute this mechanism politically through reconstruction efforts, humanitarian aid, police training, and stabilization mechanisms. And Turkey demonstrated that it was on the table with all options, not only military.
Okay. Abi.
But at the same time, it did not push for a military role on the ground.
Okay. Before we leave the BOP issue, there's still one thing about the BOP. Here in Indonesia, we just have a polling result that 50.4% of Indonesian, have a negative view about Indonesia joining the BOP because the BOP excluded Palestinian from its membership, and it doesn't represent the interests of the Palestinian. And we also saw that the first BOP summit in Washington, there was no present from the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, in that summit. Turkey only sent its foreign minister, Mr. Hakan Fidan. Actually, how is this issue being viewed by Turkish audience, and what's the reason President Recep Tayyip Erdogan didn't attend the summit last week?
It's a good question. As we see, like President Trump wanted to see President Erdogan over there in the meeting in Switzerland. But as you know, in 2009, President Erdogan said no more Davos meetings. And even President Trump met with a lot of officers over there. Just President Erdogan didn't go there, and but Turkey showed itself and its readiness for all operations, and showed the level of attending. Maybe it wasn't a presidential level, but Turkey's foreign minister did go there and attend this meeting. In Turkey as well, as we have same concerns about these mechanisms. As you know, Naftali Bennett, as we spoke with you before, Naftali Bennett claimed a lot of things.
He said that Turkey is trying to make a new axis and want to encircle Israel. Turkey is the new Iran.
When I see these statements, and so I actually be happy, and I understand like some Israeli politicians are unhappy about Turkey, about my country. So, and I can say, like, first of all, I think these statements should be understood in a broader political context. And Turkey is a country that invests in expanding its diplomatic and strategic space, but Israel does not understand one thing, and I will mention this a bit later. Turkey is expanding diplomatic and strategic space, and it has a lot of developments in the region, not only in the region, in global level actually. But we do not wake up every morning thinking about how to block and encircle Israel. That is simply not how Turkish foreign policy operates. Turkey sees itself as a stabilizing power at both the regional and global levels, as we do in Ukraine, in Qatar, and we did as well as in Libya, lastly in Syria. In each of these cases, Turkey acted as a security provider or mediator rather than expansionist
Expansionist.
actor. Over the past decades, Turkey has consistently invested in stability and has demonstrated then that it has no territorial ambitions in other countries. Turkey had operations in North Syria, for example. But why? Because ISIS and YPG, which is the terrorist organization, uh, attacked to Turkey's land. So to protect its land. So and Turkey had several operations in North Syria.
Okay.
So as Turkey has strengthened in position and increased its capacity, especially as I said before, in defense industry and regional security, uh, it's it's really normal. It's really normal that some actors feel uncomfortable, and Israel is likely one of them.
Okay.
And so I'm not surprised by such like rhetoric.
Statement, yeah.
We also see similar narratives in media outlets uh, that are like openly critical of Turkey, and so let me actually mention this encircle ideas and so thoughts. So it's called Sunni axis.
Sunni access, yes.
Yeah, which includes Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan. Now, regarding
Is it
to
going to happen? You know, the pact between
I don't think
among the
I
three
don't
country. You adopt that?
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Now, regarding the so-called Sunni axis with
Or
Saudi
the
Arabia,
Islamic NATO, yeah. People will say it. We're not gonna see it.
yeah, I think so. And there is no concrete evidence of
All
such
right.
a pact. And by the way, like first of all, Turkey is a NATO member, and its military strategy and is shaped within a framework. Moreover, uh, Turkey has its own independent regional power vision. It's not a country that would enter a into a bloc, into a pact under someone else leadership. Does it need to create a sectarian axis to project yani, influence?
Yeah, yeah.
That would contradict Turkey's strategic identity. Yes, Turkey contributes to the defense capacity of various countries, and if you follow the news stories, like in defense forums, Turkey contributes a lot in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, and so you can see like they want to have such as new generation Turkish uh, drones, it actually game changer, I
Game
can
changer,
say.
yeah. Maybe because we don't have much time in this for now, we're going to the our last issue that we want to discuss is regarding the north east Syria. As we know that now YPG SDF they already gave their territorial to the Damascus to the Syrian central government. Do we see that the United States of America they don't need SDFs no more after this? Are you seeing that the US is really wanting to see the United Syria, or do you think that America has other plan for Syria after
Mm.
this
Okay.
development?
Brother Surya, let's look at this topic here, the Americans' Syrian policy from broader perspective, and let's look at the previous U.S. president's approach to Syria and its difference, their difference from President Trump. I will try to summarize this quickly. When we analyze the situation in northeast Syria, it's important to understand how the Trump administration approached regional policy. Trump's perspective is very much cost benefit oriented.
Cost benefit, yeah.
Yeah, unlike previous administrations, and such as Obama's or even Biden's early approach, which emphasized protecting U.S. troops and working with local partners, such as SDF, which is in Turkey, we call it YPG terrorist organization. Trump, in contrary of previous U.S. presidents, Trump focused on minimizing U.S. involvement while maximizing strategic gain. He evaluated local conflicts in terms of tangible results versus costs. From this perspective, US decided to allow Damascus to reclaim territory from SDF. But Ankara's role shouldn't be forgotten in this process because Ankara didn't want SDF to have a land inside Syria. So it wasn't necessarily a betrayal in personal sense, actually, between I'm talking about between US and SDF, but rather than this, like a calculated decision. The administration wanted to more centralized and stable a government in the country, Syrian government. They wanted this to emerge while reducing U.S. exposure on the ground. President Trump also considered regional actors carefully. So, for example, I'm talking about Turkey. He recognized Turkey as a key power in the area, and he didn't want to act in a way that would necessarily provoke Ankara. That means helping, sending tools, weapons to SDF, making a split countries. So that would be Ankara wouldn't be happy with this. Turkey, for its part, understood the calculations clearly. Ankara administration also saw that the US intended to work with regional powers and to manage local problems. And it's Trump's framework. Strong local actors, such as Turkey, were expected to play a very important role in shaping outcomes rather than leaving everything to us. But of course, they think like that. But of course, Ankara has its own agenda. It's not going on everything in the USA mindset in the region. And Ankara has consistently treated them as a terrorist threat. As a conclusion, from an analytical point of view, I would say Washington's moves shouldn't simply be described as backstabbing the SDF. Rather, it reflects actually a strategic shift towards minimizing U.S. costs, dealing with central powers in the region, and Ankara, in return, has been a key player in guiding a new Syria, I can say.
Brother Ekrem Biceroglu, thank you very much for your time with us. See you inshallah for
You're welcome.
our next discussion.
Inshallah, brother. Inshallah.
Okay.
Take care.